Hello, welcome back to the Frappe podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys here. The Frappe podcast is a place for us to showcase that we're not just interested in showing the world our products, but also the stories in our community and from our team, which make the product and the community what it is. So today, I'm very, very excited to tell you that we have Rucha as our guest. How are you feeling, Rucha?
Yeah, great. A little bit nervous because this is the first time I'm doing a podcast, I think.
Are you excited?
Yeah, really excited
I'm
of
glad.
what will come out. Yeah.
So in today's conversation, I'm actually excited because when I first was here, Rucha and I didn't get to talk that much. But now that we have, I've always seen her be this quiet, focused individual who is, just ready to work, pushing out good products and good code. And but now that I've known her more, there are so many things that we have anchored our conversations on. And I'm so happy to be sharing this with other people. I'm so glad you agreed in the first place.
Yeah, it's surprising that you said calm and someone who has it figured out, but it's a completely opposite. If that is the thing I'm able to pull off, people perceive me like that, then it's different because my journey at Frappe has been somewhat chaotic because I touched almost many products at Frappe and I worked on a lot of things. Mostly people know what they want to do when they come at Frappe. Like someone is specialized in the back end or front end, or they have an area of expertise they are known for. But for me, I wanted to try everything and find out what I enjoy the most. So it was mostly Rushabh or someone else, nudging me towards the next project. And I learned something through everything I built, be it Frappe HR, Frappe Health, everything.
You said doing things you enjoy. So what is that one thing that's making you happy right now?
Since the beginning of my career, I think I have been conflicted on what a good developer should be or what the outcome or the product of a good developer should be. Should it be utilitarian, like utility first, or art first? So art is good, like you enjoy the process, building the product, everything. But if it's of no use, then the art is just there. Yeah. And utility is also good, but just the utility, like if you see all the old age ERPs, unlike ERP Next, will you even feel like opening the screen and working on the product every
Probably
day?
not that much.
Yeah, so just utility also doesn't excite me. So I was seeking for a good balance of both these things on the thing I'm working on. And I think finally after 5 to 6 years, I think I can say I have a product, which is Frappe Studio, that I'm building right now, which kind of lets me balance and play with utility and art both.
I'm really glad you mentioned this early in our conversation because this is the one thing that we talked about, that finding a balance in general, but also finding a balance between something being good and something being useful, right? And it is difficult to strike that balance because we're so connected to either making good art and making something be look nice, feel nice, whatever, or shipping something really tight, well written code, very useful, very small, brief, whatever. So it's interesting that we got to the topic, the crux of the topic right there. But I want to zoom out a little. I want to know where did all of this start? Did you always want to be a programmer?
Yeah, so when I was in college, 11th, 12th grade, so everyone was going the engineering route, and I thought I want to do something different. And I liked art and all of that stuff and logic to some extent. So I thought architecture would be a good field, and I got into it. And 2 months into it, I hated it to the core. I just hated it. So I was in Raheja, Bandra, and it was a lot of things happening. You go home, work on your assignments, build projects and all till 2, 3 a.m. at night. Then 5:30 you get up, switch to trains, go to your college, and they'll throw you out even if you're a minute late.
Oh.
Yeah, and then you have to slog and slog and slog. So I didn't have a problem with slogging or hard work, but I was not enjoying the process is what I understood in 2 months. And I said, this is not for me. It was not a problem of aptitude maybe, but I was not at all enjoying. And it was a paradox because it's art and maybe utility both. But if you're not enjoying, there is no point.
Yeah, why would you put yourself to something
Yeah.
like, yeah. Is that like, so was that decision like easier to just be like, I don't want to do this, let me just pick something I think I'll be good at?
No, it was not, because like since my childhood, I think even my parents have pushed me to score well in exams, or like explore it all and give your 100% everywhere. So I was used to winning. And then when you hit some point in your career where like, how can I be unsure of what I want to do? Like, how did I get this wrong? So that felt like a big fall in my self-confidence, everything. And it was taking a toll on my health also, the whole architecture piece. So I just decided to drop out of it. And I didn't want to take a drop. So I took up a CS degree and I started. So I remembered back in 11th, 12th, I had opted for bifocal computer science as a subject. And what I really liked during that time was the kick I used to get when I solved even the smallest problem. Or when I saw something working, I used to think what goes on behind
The scenes.
building it. So like reverse engineering stuff, figuring out logic and the different ways you can approach a problem. So I remembered that feeling and I thought maybe I'll enjoy this. Like, let's give it a try. If not architecture, I think this might work out. So I just went into it after 2 months of chaos.
Yeah, it must have been like a quick but big decision to like choose something. And it's such an annoying feeling to, like art, but not like that part of art where, you're putting yourself through a system that does not work.
Yeah.
In favor of like happiness.
Yeah.
In a sense, like, even when I was in the 9th and 10th grade, we had to choose like a additional subject for our board exams. And I really liked painting and drawing. So I picked art. And the professor was one who, I was not bad at it, okay? Just for the record, I was not bad at it. I was average and good. And the professor, she would just berate me. Like, all she would do is be like, this is not good, this is not good, this is not good, this is not good. And like, at that point, I was so annoyed with the fact that I actually liked art. I'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I had to. But yeah, that's a different ending.
I think producing art under pressure or when you're not in the right context is really annoying and hard. So it's not art anymore, I think, then.
Yeah, and at that point, like, it's just blank effort,
Yeah.
And at that point, we're young also. It's not like we are in our mid-20s and we know that, oh, this is the way to go. It's about, that is the point where you're figuring it out. And that figuring out part is tough overall.
Yeah, and it's constant in your life. Like, when you are, I think in your teenage, you think, like I used to think like people in their 20s have it all figured out. Like they are settled, they know what they want every day. But it's like when you go and become an adult, it's like I didn't sign up for a lot of things
to figure out what you mean.
Like how much more do I have to figure out? Sometimes it's like, just tell me what I have to do. Like,
yeah, dude. Like, as a child, I would not like to be told what to do, but now I'm just like,
sometimes
there's so many decisions to take, and I feel like, but people say, oh, enjoy the journey, and not the destination. We're so focused on the destination, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're so focused on how things should be, how things have to be. Like, even in our personal selves, we're so like, I should be this way, I should be diplomatic, I should be balanced. But it's not all going to work out that way.
Yeah. And if you're enjoying the journey, I think some parts of you come out which you also hadn't imagined. Like, you didn't know you had it in yourself. So I relate with the enjoying the journey part because I think we all know Frappe conferences, and we do something called as CDD, which is conference driven development. So earlier in the previous conferences, I used to just slog and like I just wanted to have a good presentation and a product by the end of like to present in the conference. So I used to neglect everything in the process, be it health or be it enjoying the process or everything. So I had some perception of how I'll feel when I finally achieve the kind of thing I've visualized. And when it actually happened, it was close, but I didn't feel the way I thought I would feel.
Because you spent so much of your mental energy just preparing.
So like that kind of taught me to enjoy the journey more than the destination. So now I'm more present in whatever I'm doing, and the final outcome is it's in my vision, but I try to make the smaller things work better and like put in more art into it.
So this, like, again, coming back to art only, like art and utility, right? That has been also been a journey for you. Like, has that all happened at Frappe, or like, you know, what are the things that you have interconnect? Like, you know, when we're kids and when we're adults, and we think that, oh, this is something is a certain way, this is how the world works. But when we grow up, we realize that this is why it works like that. Like, are there any connections that you have been able to make in your professional and personal journeys?
Yeah, I think being a part of Frappe opened a lot of like ideas for me. So every one of us has that perception of how things would be in corporate or a typical office, and like I have to follow the rules, all of that. So I remember my first day at Frappe, when I came 15 minutes late, and Nabeen, who is the one of the greatest developers behind ERP Next, co-founder of Frappe, I told him, sorry, I was late. I had to fetch something from the stationery below. And he's like,
what?
This is a cool working place. You don't need to.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for everyone. Like, it was 6:30 and no one was getting up to go home. And I was like, can I go home? And then they're like, this is a chill place. So the perception... basically, my point is there are so many things you want to do in life, but all the rules and the way the things should be are so wired in our brain that we first think about all those things, like what will people say, will I be judged for this, and getting to the actual thing you want to do, like your mind space gets taken away by all the other things.
It does, and it's tiring. Like,
Yeah.
when you came to a new place, right? You came to Frappe for the first time. Was it your first job?
Yeah, it was my first job.
How do you end up joining? Like,
so I did comm science. I didn't get into an engineering like professional degree because of the architecture thing. So I had all the boring MNCs. I can't take names, but so I had all of them. I cleared all the interviews, but I wasn't finding anything interesting to work on there. Like, they had rules like you have to keep your phone outside for 9 hours and then enter the office. And
sounds like school, but
yeah.
okay.
So I'm like, this is freedom going backwards. And then I just read about some company called Frappe coming to my college for an interview. And I saw their hiring test. So that was pretty unique. Like, they didn't have DSA or all the typical interview process that devs have to go through to land a job. So they had a actual small product that you have to build, and the questions would be around that.
Yeah.
So Frappe was coming tomorrow, and I got to know like today 5:30, and I have to present that project tomorrow. So it was written that you are expected to do this in Flask. So I had Python background, but I had not worked with Flask as a framework. So I thought somehow, I don't know from where I got like, I have to do this. Like, this place, I want to come here. So I sat the whole night, learned from the documentation and stuff, and built something and went for the interview. So my first interview was an HR round, and I came to the office. So office was also, when I entered, I think there were, as a woman, when you enter a room, you try to find
the women in the room.
Like something familiar
Yeah.
to find comfort. And there were all men sitting in the room. So I was a bit intimidated. But then Nabeen and Rushabh took my first interview. And yeah, so they had warned me like, this is going to go on for an hour. So are you ready? I'm like, okay, let's find out. So I was nervous throughout the interview, but I like the process of how it's all happening, and the kind of mindset they had and the freedom people had. Like, you could feel the energy in the space. Even though I didn't know a lot about the values, culture at Frappe, you could feel that people aren't tensed there.
They're happy here.
Yeah, they are creating something of their own in their own space. So that felt nice.
Did that help you feel, you said that there were not a lot of women in the room, right? Like, But you were the woman in the room. So did that help you feel more confident as the woman in the room?
I don't know. I had a lot of thoughts at that point. So there, even in devs, we didn't have a female dev. There was an intern for a brief period. So it was a bit overwhelming because I was the only female dev working in the room, and I don't know, like our brains work that way. So it's harder for you to even approach someone. And I was very shy and introvert. So it was hard for me to go and approach people, ask doubts. And there was no template or like a role model or something in office where I can see someone and say like I want to become like her. So it was hard in the beginning. Like I used to feel I need someone, but then work just covered it up for me. And I have had both kinds of experiences, but mostly the devs at Frappe didn't judge me for not knowing something, or they used to go and explain if I asked. So everyone was ready to help and make my journey better. But that void was still there. So now when I see, new female devs coming in office and I see them intimidated, I feel like going and talking to them because I see myself
in them.
Yeah, so I don't want them to feel alone like I felt in the initial days. So there were like instances of, not in Frappe, just like outside also, like mansplaining stuff. So even the smallest thing, like I don't know why people assume that you are stupid.
Being a woman in any corporate space is just,
So maybe it's also out of, like, they want to explain very genuinely, but we can't understand.
Most of the time, it's not like that though, right? Like, if you're having a career as a woman, and we are in 2025, okay, but still, you can see the latent and the conditioned, views that people have. And it's such a layered approach because when you're launching your career as a woman, if you look at two things, if you look at how, as a woman, how you're going to perform in that space, and based on your talent, how you're going to perform in that space, that's so much more mental work, right? To do. And in that process, to find out what you actually want to do, how you want to do it, what are the products in this case that you want to work on, and what is the balance you want to find, must have been such a long journey, right? Because there's so many layers to having a career as a woman. I can't even like start talking about it.
Yeah, it's hard. So we used to go to the conferences and stuff, even Force United, I think, and so when they approach you, if you are with a male colleague, 2-3 male colleagues, so they'll talk to them and they'll ask them questions like, what did you think about this talk and all. And at the end, they'll like just see through you, or they'll talk to you, but they are like, what are you? So if you say I'm a developer, like, you are a developer? Like,
I hate that.
Yeah, like, I can't I be a developer. Maybe it's just out of surprise because the number of female devs is generally less. It's just out of surprise, but even that emotion coming out, it's kind of
it's scary. Like, I think it's not even scary, it's actually annoying. We did a lot of media events, etc. So when I would go to these events, sometimes I would go like with an intern, or even if I would go with my co-founder, they would always talk to the man in the room. And I'm just like, I'm right here, I have asked you a question, you are answering to somebody else. How does that work? Like, how exactly are you planning to explain to the rest of the world that your patriarchy is so ingrained that you can't even look at me and speak to me? And like you said, like, people do assume you're, I don't want to say dumb or stupid, but people do assume that you know lesser.
Yeah.
It's actually not true. Like, the emotional, fun fact, if I read a random study, if there were like mostly women leaders, the chances of a World War III happening drastically reduced. Drastically means more than 50%. Like,
interesting.
Very interesting, and makes a lot of sense also. But But I want to come back to like what we were actually, hoping to discuss, which is like, we spoke, I think, one of the first things you mentioned, not just now, but in our earlier conversations also, finding balance. So finding balance between art and utility is one thing, but finding balance in decisions is like another. Has there ever been like this one tension point, like where you had to take a big decision and, find that the right spot to do something or to go forward with something?
Yeah, I think that also back in my initial days at Frappe. So I had joined after graduation and I had given my entrance exam for my master's.
Okay.
So I was waiting for the results, but I had joined Frappe because I liked the company. And the results were good. So I was getting a good, really good institute. And I was in a dilemma at that time because I had worked in Frappe for a month, I think.
Okay.
And that was also good. Like I wanted to pursue education further and not stop at that. And it was also an ego thing because of the architecture dip. So I wanted to do masters. And then we were discussing at home and my mom was like, I'll come to office with you. Like what?
What?
So my mom had come to my office.
Parent-teacher conference.
Yeah, and she talked to Rushabh.
Oh no.
Yeah,
And?
and she was asking Rushabh whether she should pursue masters or stay here. Like,
And what did he say? He's like, yes, you should stay. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
he
sure
was-
they knew how good you were by that point.
he wanted me to stay and explore Frappe, of course, but like he was telling her how higher education is in India, at least it's all.
A scam.
Yeah, so like she'll learn a lot here, grow as a open source contributor. And that was, I couldn't process the moment because I'm sitting in the cabin and my mom is talking to
The founder of the company.
Yeah, and like asking my boss whether she should stay or
Go.
So I finally decided to stay because because of some personal reasons, and also I wanted to use the freedom I was getting by earning my own money and supporting at home, all of those things. And whatever I was getting to learn at Frappe, it was a very different experience. So I did my master's anyway with the
must,
job.
huh?
So I chose an easier one, a 2-year degree rather than a 3-year one. So I did my master's from Mumbai University while working.
Okay.
And Frappe was cool enough to offer me a few days off for my exams, the prep and everything. I lost a few hair in the process, but
It was worth it, I'm guessing, in the end of the day.
okay, at least that ego thing
Is
got
satisfied, like,
yeah,
tick.
yeah, I've done that with work. So finding balance over there was very hard because like studying, going through all the exam stuff and coming back producing results at work, and like your mind space is divided into so many things. So that was hard, but it taught me importance of perseverance and hard work. And
I'm guessing you found, kind of work ethic and
Yeah.
study ethic that you could manage, like that good balance.
It was chaotic. Somehow I managed by the end. So, theek.
Came out winning at the end of the day, so it's okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Like you were saying, you found that balance between like the right amount of studying and the right amount of working while finishing. It's not a small thing to do a master's, and so it must have been pretty difficult to figure out. In that way only, like I'm sure that you might have taken some time to figure out the art and the utility part, like how much art, how much utility. Is that always on your mind? Is that how you always constantly operate, or is it just something that's natural to you right now?
I think I'm still figuring it out. I'm always in conflict of where to bend more, even if it's a single feature. So even in studio, if I'm building something, I first start by breaking it down into smaller pieces and working on all of those. But when I have to merge the PR, I always think, this can be better, or this, I want to make this better. And by doing that, I'm like pushing the release further, or so that like people can actually use it, use that feature I just added. But that is also art. Like I don't want them to feel the friction while using it for the first time.
You want to do it well.
Yeah. So the iterations is a good thing, but I'm still struggling to find the correct decision framework for when to like just push it and wait out and polish it and then push it. So I do get nudges in office like bus ho gaya.
Kar de.
Haan,
Yeah.
It's fine. This is a good working piece. So I relate to that a lot, like the figuring out part. There is a book I'm reading currently, which is Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is like two friends developing a game. So it talks about all the creative aspects that they go through while building that. So there is a line in that where sometimes for an engineer or artist or any kind of builder, their taste exceeds their ability. So I feel that sometimes I visualize something in my head like this is how the feature should roll out and this is how it should work. This is how the user experience should be. But when I actually get to it, I find all the roadblocks on not reaching that point. So that feels very dissatisfying. Like I can do it maybe one day, but I'll need a lot of iterations to
do it. But then there's a choice, right? Either you like push yourselves to do what you actually want, or like settle for doing something now and making it better over time.
Yeah.
That is the toughest decision. Like even for this podcast, like I've been thinking about it for 3 months now. And I finally got told that it's time to like do it. It's time to actually do it and get it moving, not just like discussions or just go and do it. Like even the shoot that we're doing now was planned for like a week later probably. But everything is just, if you don't do it, you'll never know how it's going to go.
Yeah. So that's a constant thing. I relate to that. And
figuring out is constant.
You don't know if you will be able to make it or if you have the ability. But the only way to go through this phase is doing the work actually.
Put yourself in the middle of it and then
just do it. Let's find out how it goes.
What is the wildest thing you've put yourself in the middle of?
In the middle of?
Like, what is the wildest thing that you've done that made you feel like, arey, what have I gotten myself into? But then it ended up either good or bad. Like, what is that one wild thing?
At Frappe, like there have been a lot of stories, I think. There was this trek we had gone for. So in my first year, we went to Nag Tibba, Mussoorie. And that was my first like hardcore trek like a proper trek. And I thought, theek hai, like 3-4 hours you have to go and then the descent is the
easy
next morning. So I was like, theek hai. So I went and they were giving us sticks like for support. I'm like, you need sticks? Is it that difficult? And that time I didn't I was not into fitness or gym or anything. So I was I have hated sports for most of my life. I just like swimming and gym now. But that time I was not so fit aisa. So we started climbing and after some point I was all out of breath. And I'm the last person. And Rushabh was the sweeper for the trek. So imagine like me, 20-year-old, and Rushabh, 40-year-old. And he's like, give me your bag. And he's holding my bag. He's holding his bag. I'm not even able to hold myself. And we were climbing. I'm like, I can't do it. He's like, thoda aur, come. It's almost done. Here only we are. Aisa karte more 3-4 hours the trek was. And at that point, I should have stayed at the base. Like, why did I? And Rushabh kept on saying, listen to the rustling of the leaves, the chirping of the birds, and enjoy the moment. And I'm like, I can't even focus on my breath.
I thought the answer to this question was going to be something else only. But this is so much better than that. But Frappe's offside treks are some moments to remember. Like my first offside trek was in Malshe in 2021 when we went in September. It was, so we were supposed to be dropped at the base, I think, but we got dropped at the top. So we were climbing down in the first part. And I was not confident. It was slippery. And like the only time I've broken my arm has been because I, slipped on moss. And there was so much moss here. So I was a little, not happy with what was going on. Everybody's going ahead, all my friends have gone. And I take like first 10, 15 steps. I'm almost at the bottom of that one patch. And then I slip and I just fall so hard. I went back up and I was like, sorry, this is not happening. It was so slippery. I was like, I will go back up in the moss, but I will not come. So, but what do you think? Like, what do you think of the conversation? How did it go?
Yeah, it was pretty light. Like you were great as a host, I think, connecting the dots, taking the conversation ahead. So it was pretty cool. I shared the stories also, and you laughed. So my litmus test for
Friendship is done.
friendship or whom I'll get along with is if they laugh on my jokes, and I try. So it was a good conversation. I think we covered a lot of points.
So, before we end this, if you are willing to tell me, what is that one thing that you're still as of figuring out?
I think the balance between shipping and making it perfect, that is always a struggle. Sometimes I don't even know what I don't know in my field. Like there is so much canvas to cover. Things are moving so fast. And I've seen a lot of journeys at Frappe. Like many people, I haven't had a single role model, but there was always something in someone that I liked and I admired to be. Like I aspired to be that. So all the things that I've seen in people, be it like polishing UIs, being very clear and consistent in thought, shipping faster. Sometimes it's how you communicate with your
Peers,
team or even your ideas to the world. I think that's all the things I have to figure out because I don't think I'm there yet. And the product also, it's pretty hard and interesting. So that's something I have to get to.
In like one of your journeys, I think this podcast is also a good checkbox to have, no?
Wouldn't have imagined the first day I came into office and
To be on the podcast.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm also like excited to see where this journey takes Frappe and all of us, actually, because all of us are involved. So it feels like a big community project.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you so much for being here. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a great time.
I'm glad.
And I am also excited to see, like I've seen people's work, I've seen their code, but I would like to see their personality behind what they do, and did they face any problems in life and how did they overcome, or how does their day-to-day look like. This setup is really interesting.
Yeah, it's always like inspiring only in general to know that people are humans and not just the things that they do at work. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Frappe podcast. I hope you had as much fun as we did doing this. And if you want to comment, please go ahead and comment the things about art and utility that excite you, wherever you found the balance. And I hope to see you guys again in the next few episodes.